Okay, this is video number 2 of my online student teaching career. Today we're doing a review of completing the square. This should be a review from Algebra 1. And we'll use it to help us put equations of circles into standard form so that we can find their centers and radii more easily. So the first 2 examples here are just review of the process, and we're going to use that process to find the center and radius. So the steps, our review steps, are moving the constant term to the other side, taking half of the b term and squaring it, taking that number that you get in step 2 and adding it to both sides, and then solving the rest of it like you would normally. So I'm going to start with this first example here. So I'm going to move my constant term, which is 39, to both sides. So I have x squared plus 10x equals 39. So now I'm taking half of my b term, which remember is 10. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. And then I'm going to square that 5, which gives me 25. So now I'm adding 25 to both sides of my equation so that I have x squared plus 10x plus 25 equals 39 plus 25. So that gives me x squared plus 10x plus 25 equals 64. So now after that, I want to factor this trinomial term right here, which is going to factor to x plus 5 times x plus 5. So x plus 5 times x plus 5 is the same thing as x plus 5 squared. So now after that, to solve, we're going to take the square root of both sides. So then we get x plus 5 equals plus or minus 8. And then to solve that the rest of the way, we have x plus 5 equals negative 8, and x plus 5 equals positive 8. If we solve for x for both of those, we get x equals negative 13, and x equals 3. So those 2 answers don't really have anything to do with how we're going to use this for our circle equations, but it doesn't hurt to have a good review of the entire process. So right now would be a good time to pause the video if you wanted to try example number 2 on your own. I'm going to erase some of this so that I have a little bit more room. Okay. So example number 2, so we start by moving 7 to both sides. Sorry, not moving 7 to both sides, moving the constant term to the other side. So moving 7 to the other side. So that's x squared minus 6x equals 7. So now we're taking half of negative 6, squaring it to give us 9, so negative 3. So now we have x squared minus 6x, and we're adding this 9 to both sides. So that's x squared minus 6x plus 9 equals 16. So again, we're factoring this trinomial. So that's going to be x minus 3 times x minus 3. And again, x minus 3 times x minus 3 is the same thing as x minus 3 squared. Taking the square root of both sides, we get x minus 3 equals plus or minus 4. So solving, x minus 3 equals negative 4, x minus 3 equals positive 4. We get x equals negative 1, and x equals 7. So our little box at the bottom here says we have reviewed the algorithm for completing the square. We can use it to find the center and radius of a circle. So scrolling down, so here a circle has an equation shown below, not in standard form. So x squared minus 4x plus y squared minus 8y equals 5. So we're going to use the process of completing the square twice to write this equation in standard form. So we have x squared minus 4x plus y squared minus 8y equals 5. So what you want to do is we're going to group these two together and these two terms together. We're going to group the two x terms together and the two y terms together. So we're going to complete the square for both of these groupings we just made. So if we're ignoring the second part of this equation and just focusing on x squared minus 4x, so there's no constant term to move to the other side, so now our next step would be to take half of 4 and square it. So half of negative 4 is negative 2. Square that, we get 4. So this is going to be x squared minus 4x plus 4. I'm going to keep that in parentheses. Okay, so we did that part, and so now we're focusing on the y squared minus 8y part. So half of negative 8 is 4, negative 4, and then negative 4 squared is 16. So here we're going to have y squared minus 8y plus 16. So then we have the 5, but remember that we added 4 here and 16 here, so we have to add it over here as well. So our final answer here, not our final answer yet, so then we have to factor these two trinomials before we get to our final answer. So this one is going to factor to x minus 2 squared. This one's going to factor to y minus 4 squared. And then add these and you get 25. So using that process, we did it, completed the square twice, and now we have a standard form equation of our circle. So now when it's asking what our center is, we can easily look at it and say that our center is 2, 4, and that our radius is 5. Then it asks us to graph it, so again, we're going to plot our center, so over 2 and up 4, and then our radius is 5, so we count to the right 5 spaces, up 5 spaces, left 5 spaces, and then down 5 spaces. Okay. So that is how we use completing the square to put an equation of a circle in standard form so that we can find our center and radius better. Hopefully this video was helpful, and I strongly recommend that you watch this video. If you don't get it the first time, maybe look at it again, because you're going to need to know how to do this moving forward. Okay, thank you.